Some girls
She could have had her choice of a lot of guys.
seem too good to be true,
Pretty, smart.
especially when you're a dropout.
A guy who's wasting his life playing video games.
But love works in strange ways.
It really wasn't a fair fight. He never saw her coming.
Burbank, California, 1995. High school senior Amber Bray has the world at her feet.
Amber Bray was a bright, 18-year-old young woman who was pretty, smart.
Okay, settle down, class. Back in your seats.
She was very devoted churchgoer, and she had done very well at school.
Nice work, Amber. Thanks.
This is a young teenager who could have a very good life for herself.
Then, Amber crosses paths with 21-year-old Jeffrey Ayers.
Dude, you suck at this game.
He's just kind of a doofus. A guy who's wasting his life playing video games when he could be going to school, when he could be making something of himself.
So you go to school around here?
Yeah.
Yeah?
No one understands why ambitious Amber wants to date loser Jeffrey.
No, it's not bad.
But the pair form an unlikely bond.
Wait, how old are you?
How old do you think I am?
18 or 19?
Jeffrey never wanted a long-term girlfriend before he met her, but he fell, and he fell hard.
Dixie Hollier's office.
Amber's mom, record company executive Dixie Hollier, starts getting calls.
Hello, Dixie speaking.
Her straight-A daughter is skipping class.
So all week.
The only symptom we had that something was wrong was that Amber began to miss school.
Thank you, I understand, thank you.
She missed it to the point that she got into trouble for truancy.
Everything okay?
No, not really.
I'll look into that now. Thanks.
Thank you.
Dixie is a divorcee raising 3 kids. She worries her eldest daughter is throwing away her future.
Amber had a stormy relationship with her mother. Typical daughter, mother, teenage hormones battling each other.
I said, excuse me. Where have you been?
At school.
You have not been at school because the school phoned me and you haven't been there for days.
Amber's 15-year-old sister, Amy, is often caught in the crossfire.
Stop yelling!
I do care about it. Now cut it out!
A lot of mothers and daughters start having problems when their daughter's 13, 14, 15, and then generally they grow back together.
I don't care, or I should care.
That didn't happen in this case. Amber hated her mother.
And Amber makes sure her boyfriend hates her mom, too.
What's the matter?
She would portray herself as this poor wretch who was abused by her mother.
I don't think I can do this anymore.
There's no evidence of abuse, but Jeffrey buys her story.
You're a young man, and all at once you have this beautiful young woman showing this great interest in you. Pretty soon, you get suckered into the story about how mean mommy is to her.
Then Amber tells him she can't take it anymore.
If you don't do something about my mom, I think I'm gonna kill myself.
Hey,
Well, Jeffrey couldn't let that happen.
I'll do anything for you, okay? Anything that's gonna make you happy, I'll do it for you, okay?
You promise?
I promise.
It was just a way, along with her good looks and her sob story, to basically bait the hook more for Jeff Ayers.
The reason for Amber's inexplicable bond with a high school dropout is about to become clear.
Almost everybody who plans a murder writes it down. In the process of creation, everything starts as a thought. And then it becomes word, and then it becomes deed. When she met Jeffrey, she saw someone she could control and manipulate to get exactly what she wanted him to do.
In Burbank, California, 1996. A teenage tryst is getting serious fast.
So, I made a list.
Jeffrey and Amber had only known each other a few months, but they were already talking about getting married.
So I've invited 100 people.
Amber Bray and Jeffrey Ayers draw up a guest list. But two names are conspicuously absent.
It turns out Amber's mother and younger sister, Amy, were not on the invitation list. What does that tell you?
Amber convinces Jeff that in order for their new lives to begin, other lives must end.
I think Amber did a great job of basically manipulating Mr. Ayers.
We're gonna have like a big house, right?
Romance him, seduce
In a
him,
car.
and say, we can live happily ever after. You just have to do one thing.
In handwritten notes to her lover, Amber reveals just what that task is.
There was a series of communications about killing the mother, thereafter buying a house with the mother's money. They thought with Dixie's money, retirement savings, they'd live happily ever after.
All of these notes passing between them for months means that they had been giving a lot of thought to this murder. They programmed everything. What they hadn't counted on was that the plans would go terribly wrong.
Before dawn on January 16th, 1996, Amber lets Jeffrey into her mom's Burbank home.
I think he was probably very nervous.
Jeffrey had emotions about it. Amber didn't.
Jeffrey's only experience at killing is in video games.
He had the gun. I believe his plan was to shoot the mother twice in the head. He was not able to inflict a fatal injury.
Unlike the video games, where a single gunshot wound causes somebody to collapse and die, a bullet has to actually penetrate the skull and go into the deep brain structures in order to cause immediate unconsciousness. The bullet may have simply grazed her head. Dixie didn't go down easily. She crawled out of her bedroom.
When the gunshots didn't kill her off, Mr. Ayers then ran into the kitchen and he grabbed a bunch of butcher knives, stabbed her so severely, as I recall, the handles on one or more of the knives actually broke off.
The noise disturbs Amber's 15-year-old sister.
She grabs the phone and starts to call 911.
At that point, Amber pulled the telephone cord out from the wall and blocked Amy from calling 911.
What Amy doesn't realize is that when Mom's dead, she's next.
Amber Bray had solicited Jeff Ayers to kill her mother and also to kill her younger sister, Amy Bray. She was going to be killed as part of the deal.
But that's not Amy's fate.
Burbank police received a call from a neighbor who had heard some shots fired, and the patrol officers got there very, very quickly.
Her sister Amy was lucky the police arrived when they did.
Mr. Ayers was caught literally red-handed with Dixie's blood on his hands.
On the ground!
It's too late for hard-working single mom of 3, Dixie Hollier.
24 stab wounds, plus 2 gunshot wounds to the head, tells me this is overkill. Tells me that there was rage and anger present.
Amber's reaction to her mother's death is suspiciously cold.
She feigned some crocodile tears, but I think it became obvious to the police very quickly that any feelings of sorrow were just acting on her part.
When the police uncover Amber's incriminating notes, she and Jeffrey Ayers are arrested. Both are found guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder for financial gain. They are sentenced to life without parole.
It was Amber's emotional immaturity that caused this murder. She had no thought for anyone except herself.
Apparently, Amber was a deeply religious person, but she missed out on the 2 commandments: thou shalt honor thy parents, and thou shalt not kill.
There was no proof that Dixie Lee Hollier was anything other than a loving mom.
The lady was a nice, hardworking lady. We never found any evidence whatsoever of any abuse by her towards Amber other than, you know, telling her to do chores and, you know, do her homework and that kind of thing.
(1989), Ontario, Canada. First dates are never easy. Blind dates, the hardest of all. But when Gordon Stewart spies 53-year-old Melissa Shepard, the sparks fly.
You look lovely, and the photograph doesn't lie.
Thank you.
She's dressed very classy, and she knows how to use her gender to her advantage.
The two meet through a lonely Hearts column. But Melissa notices a wedding ring.
Oh, I'm not married. My wife recently passed away. I just can't bring myself to take the wedding ring off.
Melissa understands, as only a kindred spirit can.
I lost my husband, too.
The lonely old woman who just wants to meet someone else so that she can't be lonely.
1 year later, at a Las Vegas wedding, the middle-aged lovers pledge their devotion. But the honeymoon period is brief. Gordon has doubts about his new bride.
His retirement savings, $50,000, was being suddenly drained from his bank account.
What's wrong with me?
Come back to bed.
But money worries soon take a back seat to Gordon's health.
Hi, Melissa. Is Gordon in?
Well, he's,
Gordon!
Friends are worried,
What's wrong with him?
but Melissa doesn't share their concerns.
He's all right. He just needs bed rest.
No, he needs to see a doctor. I'm taking him to the hospital.
Melissa was successful at making men think that she loved them. What she loved was their checkbook.
Gordon recovers, but their marriage doesn't.
So what poison you got for me tonight, huh?
He now suspects Melissa of more than theft.
You've had enough.
Gordon snaps.
I think that it was probably a relationship in which they both provoked the worst in each other.
Gordon is convicted of assault and serves time. He's released on parole on the condition he stays away from his wife.
He wasn't supposed to have any contact with her, but she initiated it.
Melissa thinks they can work things out and organizes a nighttime drive.
I'm not meant to be near you. I shouldn't be drinking.
I feel safe enough.
This is something that Melissa is very good at. She uses her femininity to her advantage.
But Gordon isn't completely seduced.
Few things we've got to sort out. Where's my money?
Melissa decides to go for a walk, but Gordon follows.
Hey!
Melissa accused Gordon of raping her.
Melissa fights back with the only weapon she's got.
She runs over him not once, but twice with her car.
Melissa's tale of self-defense wins her sympathy, but there's no physical evidence to back up her claim of sexual assault.
An examination revealed no evidence of rape whatsoever.
And the autopsy on Gordon's body raises more questions.
Autopsy revealed his bloodstream was full of sedatives.
Rubbing alcohol, liquor, and a concoction of pills.
She was charged with manslaughter.
Melissa is sentenced to 6 years behind bars, but serves only 2. When she's released, she finds a new lover, thanks to divine intervention.
She told him God wanted them to be together.
82-year-old Robert Friedrich is a retired engineer, living 1,600 miles away in Florida.
I rather doubt that God wanted a nice guy to be with a psychopathic killer, but that's what happened.
Within 1 month of meeting, the couple marries, but Robert is struck down by a mystery illness.
Time for your pills.
His family started noticing that he seemed to be ill a lot.
Oh, wait a minute. I had my pills already. That was hours ago.
Husband number 3 becomes victim number 2.
December of 2002, Robert Friedrich dies.
Melissa made sure that Robert was cremated very quickly.
No one suspects Melissa, and she inherits.
He's bequeathed all $100,000 worth of his assets to Melissa.
Soon, Melissa is once again on the prowl.
That was probably very exciting for her. The hunt is a big part of the thrill.
This is a dangerous woman.
In 2004, with 2 dead husbands behind her, 69-year-old Canadian-born Melissa Shepard is looking for a new man.
Melissa Shepard was every man's worst nightmare.
This black widow snares her men on the World Wide Web.
On an online Christian dating website, she meets a 73-year-old man called Alexander Strategos.
Within 24 hours of meeting Melissa, Alex is sick.
Alex didn't even make it till morning. He had to be hospitalized. It would be the first of 8 hospitalizations in the brief time he knew Melissa.
Alex's concerned son starts asking questions. What he uncovers is troublesome.
They found unprescribed drugs in your bloodstream.
I don't understand.
In his father's bloodstream, there is Xanax and Valium, neither of which Alexander Strategos was prescribed.
But that's not all.
What have you got there?
His father's money was disappearing at a rapid rate.
Just some of Dad's papers. Very interesting reading.
Suspecting foul play, Alex's family goes to the police.
They do not have the medical evidence to charge Melissa with attempted murder. However, they do have enough evidence to charge her with fraud and theft.
In 2005, Melissa pleads guilty to fraud and is back inside a jail cell. But again, it's not for long. 4 years later, Melissa is paroled and deported back to Canada.
Considering the many years Melissa was involved in serious crimes, she got off pretty lucky.
3 years after her release, Melissa meets and marries 75-year-old widower Fred Weeks.
Fred Weeks is a kind-hearted man who was at an extremely vulnerable time in life. He was fair game for Melissa.
George, I can't tell you how happy I am that you agreed to officiate at today's ceremony.
It's a pleasure to be part of your big day, Fred.
It's another whirlwind romance. Fred has little time to get to know his new love.
Allow me to introduce my beautiful bride.
Hello. How do you do?
But the justice of the peace, a friend of the groom, knows exactly who she is.
Melissa was notorious for her criminal activities in Canada. A documentary had been made about her. But Fred Weeks didn't know that. Fred Weeks was lonely.
The justice of the peace contacts the police.
I'd like to speak to the officer in charge. My name's Megan.
But they are powerless to act.
It must have been terrifying to watch his friend walk off with the notorious internet Black Widow.
Within days, Fred is gravely ill.
It was sudden.
But Melissa doesn't seem concerned.
You sure you don't want me to call an ambulance?
It's just seasickness from the ferry ride. He'll be fine.
Are you sure?
There's a coolness, almost a cold air about her.
The following morning, the new Mrs. Fred Weeks enjoys a leisurely breakfast. No mention of her sick husband.
How is everything?
Just divine.
After she was done Then she asked the proprietor if she would call an ambulance.
But you better call that ambulance for my husband. He's not well.
It's very cold and callous and uncaring.
Fred is admitted into a hospital. Melissa's behavior strikes the nursing staff as odd.
She said he had no children. They found out that was a lie. She said he had been prescribed sedatives. They found out that was a lie. And thankfully, they called the police.
Melissa is charged with attempted murder. But it's a charge that doesn't stick.
The concentration of those drugs in his system, it was not lethal.
Everybody knows that she's a bad apple, but she just seems to keep slipping the noose.
In 2013, Melissa Shepard, now 78 years old, pleads guilty to administering a noxious substance and failing to provide the necessity of life. She is sentenced to 3.5 years in prison.
There's no reason to believe Melissa learned her lesson and will never try this again. So watch out. She's gonna be released someday.
A life of privilege.
She had everything going for her.
Doesn't guarantee good behavior.
Maybe she wanted to break his heart, literally.
Or happiness.
The tale of Dorothy Mort is one of sex, love, and guns.
Sydney, Australia, on the brink of the roaring 1920s. Hemlines are going up, and so are the fortunes of 32-year-old Dorothy Mort.
She was very much a member of Sydney's higher society.
Dorothy's living the good life, thanks to husband Harold Mort's old money.
What do you think? You know, Doc, only the latest fashion will do.
The Mort family was one of the original aristocratic families of New South Wales, and they had done extremely well and became very affluent.
It looked like the perfect life.
And it is. Until one tragic event changes everything.
Dorothy's happy life was shattered when her father committed suicide.
It's your father.
It changed her life, her outlook, and her behavior.
The once bubbly Dorothy crashes into depression.
I'm feeling better today.
She can barely lift a finger to care for her children or herself.
Hello, everyone.
She spoke about committing suicide regularly. It was something that her husband said frightened him.
Dear, how are you?
She may have been having underlying problems before her father's suicide, but afterwards it became unbearable and she needed medical care.
In desperation, Harold reaches out to a local celebrity doctor.
Claude, this is my wife, Dorothy.
30-year-old Claude Tozer.
Hello, my dear.
He had a very affable personality.
Let's see if we can find out what's wrong.
He was very handsome. He was also wildly popular.
The dashing doctor is also a decorated war hero and a sports star.
She must have been very impressed by him, I suspect.
Right. Well, let's see if this works. I know she's in good hands with you.
Claude takes a special interest in Dorothy. He visits her almost daily.
She would sometimes spend days in bed. And so Dr. Tozer would come into the home and play house calls to her.
Their time together pays off.
You seem to be getting better, Dorothy.
I do feel a lot better, dear.
Within weeks, Dorothy positively glows in good health.
Have a good day.
You too, Anne.
But Claude's miracle cure doesn't come from a medical textbook.
Let's just say his bedside manner was unusual.
Treatment for depression in the early 20th century was really very experimental.
To say the least, Dr. Tozer took advantage of Dorothy's delicate condition.
The doctor breaks the Hippocratic oath. Dorothy, her marriage vows.
I think she just fell into this relationship and was totally consumed by it.
Dorothy has the best of both worlds. A wealthy husband and a devoted lover.
Apparently, she thought the relationship was more than just sex. She was in love.
But after 5 months, Claude reveals a secret.
Dr. Tozer suddenly blurted out
This affair, it has to end.
that he would have to bring their relationship to an end. And the reason for that was that he was engaged to marry another woman.
But I love you, Claude.
I'm sorry. I love someone else.
You told me you loved me. You told me.
Dorothy's used to getting her own way. She won't accept being dumped for another woman.
She was determined that nobody else was going to take her place.
Sydney, Australia, 1920. Money, children, and a loving husband aren't enough for Dorothy Mort. She's mourning the loss of her lover. Her unsuspecting husband turns again to Dr. Claude Tozer.
I'm very worried about Dorothy.
He was very worried about his wife. She'd been in bed for days and wasn't getting any better.
Could you please call by in the morning? Thank you.
But the good doctor isn't the cure. He's the cause.
Dr. Tozer arrived at the house, went up to the bedroom to see Dorothy Mort.
Claude has ditched Dorothy for another woman.
How are you today?
Fine. I've realised you're right. We have to stop.
But gives her one last dose of his special medicine.
Dorothy was a sick woman. She really did need help. She didn't need sex. But that's what she got.
They made love, and then they went into the drawing room.
Dorothy wants the doctor to remember her forever.
Sit down. I have a small gift I'd like to give you.
He fully expected that she would understand and accept that it was the end of their relationship.
But acceptance is the last thing on Dorothy's mind.
You shouldn't have.
She dangled a present in front of his eyes.
No, I probably shouldn't.
And then shot him. Once in the back of the head and once in his right temple.
Taking Claude's life isn't enough for Dorothy. She wants to make it clear why she killed him.
She unbuttoned his vest, shot him through the heart, and then rebuttoned his vest.
Symbolically, you broke my heart, I'll break yours.
Dorothy plans the perfect end to this tragic love story.
She drank some laudanum, which is a powerful sedative, and then shot herself through the left breast, through her heart.
But in fact, she didn't die.
When the pair is discovered 7 hours later, Dorothy is surprisingly stable. Police aren't sure who shot who.
At that stage, the police really didn't know what had gone on. They didn't know if it was a suicide pact, if Dr. Tozer had shot Mrs. Mort. They didn't know what was happening.
Dorothy sets them straight.
If I cannot have him, then no other woman shall.
Dorothy basically solved the case. She said, if I can't have him, then no woman shall. That pretty well sums it up.
Dorothy pleads not guilty by reason of insanity.
From the moment that she first entered the courtroom, she portrayed this image of a woman suffering from an insane condition.
The jury agrees.
The verdict in the case was not guilty due to insanity.
I think the jury got this one wrong. Dorothy fooled all of them.
Dorothy spends the next 8 years in treatment. Her ever loyal husband, Harold, always by her side.
The most extraordinary parts of Dorothy Mort's story is the support that she got from her husband.
Welcome home, dear.
It's good to be home.
She was released from prison and apparently went back to live in the home where the murder had occurred with her husband and lived a very quiet life.
With Dr. Tozer gone from her life, Dorothy's mental illness disappears too. She lives a productive, crime-free life until the age of 81.
I don't think Dorothy was crazy. I think she was a woman in love. A jealous, possessive woman in love.